Hello again. In this video segment, I'm going to get to a different scenario using our aggregate supply and aggregate demand framework. I'm going to approach it the same way, where I'm just going to start with our long-run aggregate supply curve and aggregate demand, have the scenario play out a little bit, and then I'll put in the short-run aggregate supply curve to tease out the differences. So again, there are our labels. And here comes our long-run aggregate supply curve. And aggregate demand. So here is our equilibrium price level. And our equilibrium level of output, which according to the classical view is our really essentially only level of output because it's what we can produce given the resources that we have in the economy to produce labor, capital, natural resources, and human capital, which is the skill level of the labor force. So I told you I would get to doom and gloom, so here we go. Suppose people are particularly pessimistic about the future. Something has happened where people are scared and they're holding on to their money. They're decreasing consumption. That's one scenario. That's the most frequent scenario, I think. And so what we're saying then is that aggregate demand is down. And now in the classical view, what that would amount to would be a decline in the price level. That much. And the reason being is because people are not buying things off the shelves, so retailers are putting things on sale or lowering prices, trying to move inventory. As people are laid off, they're looking around and they're saying, well, I see prices falling and I'd rather have low wages than no wages. So they're going to employers asking for jobs, and employers are sort of lowballing and saying, well, I can bring you on, but for this wage, which is lower than they were used to. But the worker who would prefer low wages to no wages would be looking around and seeing those falling prices and saying, okay, I can get by on that because things are getting cheaper, and we should return back to our full rate of our natural rate of employment or natural rate of unemployment very quickly, and our natural rate of output very quickly because of this quick price adjustment. But that isn't what happened in the 1930s. We didn't get back to this very quickly. And so along comes our short-run aggregate supply curve, and initially it would have been here at equilibrium. So I'll start it with it there. So that would be point A where we would have been. We didn't go straight down here in reality. We saw a decline in output away from full employment or our natural rate of unemployment, away from our natural rate of output, and that is pictured there. Now I'm still using a straight line short-run aggregate supply curve for simplicity. It can be drawn curved. I'm going to save that discussion and just draw it curved separately and explain why it might be curved. So now what we have happening here is a stutter step between the price level at equilibrium and the price level that the classical economists would have expected. So what's happening is, as aggregate demand has fallen, some people have been laid off from work, and the prices didn't adjust fully and quickly. So this transition, this slower transition, is generally referred to as sticky Sometimes we're referring to focusing on the sticky wages, and sometimes we're referring to the sticky prices. They should be moving together. They don't move fluidly like this orange arrow from here to here. They move slowly from here to here, and then later from here to here. And there are several reasons why these things might be sticky. We focus on the wages, why wages might be sticky. But what I'm going to do is save those for a separate video, and I have a pretty thorough discussion of sticky wages that I will post separately. So what's happening here is the aggregate demand is down. People are pessimistic about the future. People are being laid off and prices are falling a little bit, but prices are not falling all the way as would have been predicted by the classical model. They only fall partially and output falls. And in the 1930s, the issue was that output stayed low or beneath the potential of the economy. And so then at this point, we start to invite discussion about public policy to address this output gap pictured on the bottom of our model. And that is generally these are efforts to increase aggregate demand, to bring aggregate demand back. Left alone, eventually what should happen is we transition here for all the reasons I've already cited, where low wages are better than no wages. And people would rather be employed at lower wages than remain unemployed and to continue. They're not concerned with it as individuals, but we wouldn't continue to have this output gap. But starting with the 1930s, we address it with public policy pretty much as soon as it happens, or as soon as we can. We'll explore that with fiscal policy and monetary policy discussions. So we close this gap sort of by artificial means, but that's what we would expect, or what should be expected in the long run, naturally, but not in the short run, because prices are sticky and things don't move as swiftly as the classical economists had anticipated. So that's what I can say about that without exploring the sticky wages more, but I want to do that as a separate video.